How we doing? Harold, let's go! How we doing? Previously on Kimba TV. Go through the 30-minute, 1 hour, and then the 30 million, 10 million, and 50 million on EXO. And let's get ready to rumble, baby. What happened right here? $13 million in shorts got stopped out. I'm pretty sure we said 13. Didn't we? What was the number that I said that there was still left remaining that we were waiting to get closed out? I swear we said 13. I can't remember. All right. Freestyle JT says, nada, here for good vibes and alphaness. Let's go. Yeah, we're going to wait to see if this level gets tapped. And then we'll see if it's a failed auction. I've always told you guys, if I'm going to be in front of the charts, I'll be streaming. So baby girl is still sleeping. I probably have like an hour, hour and a half before I have to go to brunch. If I'm going to look at the charts, I'll stream. Yeah, if I was going to sleep in and keep sleeping, then I wouldn't be sleeping. But yeah, I got a lot of work I got to do. So I'm up at it, man. Yep, and I've been streaming for every day for the last close to 4 years now. So make sure you go to the YouTube and rewind and get caught up on all of the stuff that we talked about the day before. So Blitz Hacks, if you want to go and watch yesterday's stream, we talk about like why we're waiting for the box, why this is still a sweep, but it just got invalidated. And look at where it says if it's too early. So what you really want for a sweep is to do it with what? CME. And also look at S&P. So it's too early. If it's going to do it as a fail, as a swing fail, it's going to do it with RTH. So if we're coming into this level too early, then wait for a failed auction. So you're going to let it do this and let it do this. Right now because it's too early. Okay, the real swing fail that you want is with RTH or ETH with S&P. And S&P looks primed for a sweep as well. So if it's too early, like it is right now, right? It's too early. Traditional markets are going to open for like another 6 hours. Then we're going to wait for a failed auction. Okay, but maybe it does something like this, right? Leaves a shitty high, and then tomorrow with RTH, or even later tonight with ETH, it might clean it. So if it's the weekend sweep, meaning like CME ETH is on, then it's the sweep. But if it's too early, if it's before that, then we're gonna wait for a failed auction. Good morning, cheers. All right, let me eat some of my mango and then let's take a look at ETH and Sol while we wait for this reaction, shall we? How you guys doing? Happy Sunday, Lions! Quit playing with me, Lions! Good morning, cheers, crypto. Damon, what's going on? Grim says, what's the difference between SFP and failed auction? Well, the most important thing, Grim, is that you've already Googled it. Have you already Googled it? So there's always going to be stuff that you want to ask, right? Trader B, Trader A, and then Trader B. You're always going to have things that come up like, hey, what's the difference between this and this? What is this? What is that? How do I use this? How do I use that? Trader A, immediately when he thinks of the question, he goes to Google or YouTube and tries to figure it out. Trader B, he just waits to have me answer it. Who do you think is going to end up being a more profitable trader or has the competitive advantage? So I'm always willing to help out, but always don't wait, because imagine, for example, that you had that question last night and you waited all the way until now to ask, right? So anybody that came up with that question at the same time as you, but decided to go and Google it right away versus the guy that waited until now, who wants it more? Okay, so I always harp on wanting it more than somebody else. That's the most important thing in this game. All right, Grim. If you take a look structurally, there really is no difference. In my opinion, it's time. Okay, and what you're gonna notice, Grim, is that just like how I like to look at volume-based levels, time-based levels, and mathematical-based levels, those three variables will also determine the difference in structure, in pattern, and edge. So do you remember how when I say things like if there isn't enough edge, you compensate with time? You're going to notice that SFPs will happen when there's actually edge. There's good volume. So when it actually goes, the selling pressure, there's good volume. Okay, there's a CVD edge. Okay, usually when there isn't enough edge, people are going to compensate with time. So usually a swing fail, it will look like this on the 30-minute, whereas the failed auction will look like this. Okay, and if you go in on the 5-minute, you're going to actually notice that this looks like this. So the only difference is this had more edge and it was immediately bearish than something like a failed auction that took time. That is why don't we prioritize a swing fail pattern as more bearish than this? Does that make sense? So they're all just slightly different variations of each other, but one might have more volume. One might have more or less time. One might have more or less mathematical levels that got hit. So in essence, a swing fail pattern is just a failed auction that just happened a lot quicker and with more edge. Does that make sense, Grim? They both have the same invalidation, meaning that it can't make a higher high. Okay, for the most part, there are situations where a failed auction can actually make a higher high, but that's a very small proportion of the probabilities, and so we're not going to really go over that, but that is possible. But for most of the time, they're all going to have golden pockets or higher highs as invalidations. Alrighty, and what you're going to notice is a swing fail pattern. What does the swing fail pattern usually do, Grim? What does a swing fail pattern usually do is sweeps and it stops everybody out. Okay, so it's more of a liquidity grab. A failed auction will tend to be a trap. So let's say, for example, you had like an amazing short from here. Okay, let's say that you had an amazing short from here. Okay, and it basically stopped you out. Okay, if it does an SFP, it's a lot easier to do this and then just leave you behind, right? If you were in a short from here, Grim, and you got round tripped, and how do I not let you get in? I SFP your ass, it happens really quickly and it starts to go, right? If you notice that a lot of people didn't get stopped out or people didn't get trapped, what it will do is it'll give you a chance to take it. And what it will do is everybody that's shorted again here, they'll get stopped out right here. And then it'll go. The people that shorted right here, if they all got stopped out and they didn't get back in, it's going to look like this. If you see open interest and they took the short again, it's most likely going to stop them out. And that's why open interest is so important to read, so you get the context along with the structure. Did that make sense? You'll notice a lot of times, why do you think like I'm looking at this? Did you ever notice, brother, like the person that gets in right away needs to get stopped out when it's bouncing from support? Have you noticed like when we're waiting for it to, let's say that we're waiting for a long and it's pulling back, okay? And it goes to our level and it bounces and we look at open interest and on the initial bounce, hella people are already longing. Do you think those people get stopped out or do you think they get away with it? Most of the time they get stopped out, right? Where do you think those people that got in on the initial bounce, where do you think they usually get stopped out? At the 7.5 or even the 8.86. Alrighty. So, and the best thing to do, Grim, is when you start to see SFPs and failed auctions, I want you to start paying attention to structure. For example, if it's going to do a lower, higher low on a, at the top, it's going to be a hidden bear div, right? If it's going to do a lower high. So I want you to start paying attention to divergences and open interest as the structures are formed. And you're going to start to pick up on patterns relatively quickly. All right, so there's things like if it stopped everybody out, why would it go back to the, for example, if it stopped everybody out, okay, and nobody is in here, it's not going to do this to let people back in. All right, so you're going to start to notice, for example, when should I chase a trade from the 382 or the 05 instead of waiting for the golden pocket retracement? When would be a good time to wait for the golden pocket retracement, the 7.5 or the 8.86? So if there's people already in a long or a short on the initial rejection or the bounce, they're usually going to get stopped out. And that's how you can sort of anticipate, okay, is this going to pull back and bounce from a 382 or a 05? Or could this actually go to 7.5 or 8.86? Or maybe the early longers, they have to get stopped out. This is going to make a lower low. I'm going to look for the trident. So structure is good, but open interest and the divergences will ultimately start to help you figure out what the next probability is. And that's why I keep saying things like check the low or check the high, Grim, to see if it's a good low or a good high. What you want to do is, even if you do get that perfect short or long, you want to start to think about what's the chances that I'm going to get round tripped or stopped out. Am I in this long or short with everybody? Or did everybody get stopped out and I'm the only one in this long or short and I'm ready to go? I hope that helped. Senti says, even they sweep today, wouldn't it be better to wait for Monday RTH? Is it a bad high or is it a good high, Senti? Have you ever, how long have you been trading to the point where, is this the first time that you're seeing a sweep on Sunday? I've seen thousands of sweeps where they left it like that, where CME ETH swept it, where CME RTH swept it. So regardless of if something feels like it's better or worse, it still doesn't mean that you don't need to prepare and plan for it to not do that. Even if I said it would be better for it to sweep on Monday, does that mean that you don't need to plan and prepare for it to not do that? I think one of the things that you're going to realize, Senti, is a lot of people, especially new Lions, they prepare for what they're expecting or what they want. I do the complete opposite. If the thing that I'm expecting or what I want to happen, I don't need to do anything. I always think about, well, what if what I want doesn't get happen? What if I get fucked? What if I get round tripped? I'm always thinking about the opposite. Because if what I want to happen happens, why would I need to put any attention to that? I know what I want to happen. I know what it's going to do. So I rarely will think about what I want it to do or what I'm expecting to do. You'll notice that I will always think about the inverse opposite. That's why if you're not really paying attention to what I'm saying, you're going to end up shorting when I'm actually in the long. So everything that I do is for the objective of managing risk and the risk of something that I'm not expecting happening. I'm always preparing for what if what I'm expecting doesn't happen. Am I ready to go? That's all I care about. Because if what I think or what I want to happen does happen, it's effortless. I don't have to do anything. I would assume you don't have to do anything either, right? You already got filled. You know where your stop loss is. You're not going to get round trip because we're talking about the scenario that we want, right? And it just goes to TP. We don't have to think about what we are expecting or what we want. That's cruise control. So, yeah, I'm thinking about what if it doesn't do this? What if it does this? What if it does that? And that's what I'm prepared for. So, if it does this, dink, dink, I don't have to think about that. That's easy. You know, if it does this and it just leaves this shit like this, and then on RTH on Monday, it does this, I don't have to think about that. I could do that in my sleep. What I need to be thinking about is what if it does this? What if it does this? You know? Okie dokie. Yeah, so I'm not really thinking about what I want it to do. I'm thinking about all the different ways that I might not get what I want. Ramsey says, maybe a dumb question, but what is that top box at 106.4? Yeah, so every single level is identified live with you guys, Ramsey. And anytime that, you know, you're wondering, what is this or what is that, make sure you rewind and get caught up. Okay, that box is basically resistance. It's a combination of VWAP, it's a combination of Fibonacci, it's a combination of naked point of control. So my levels are identified through volume, TPO, and mathematical. So right off the rip, it doesn't show it on here, but this is basically, I'm sure you can see it, but this is like the end of like the sort of volume node, if you will. I want to catch the volume before it starts to cascade down. Okay, so you see all this steady volume. I know that there was same amount of appetite here, same amount of appetite here, same amount of appetite here, same amount of appetite here. Okay, so I'm looking at TPO levels, I'm looking at volume, and I'm looking at mathematical levels. Okay, anchor VWAP. Yeah, so everything is in yesterday's if you want to rewind and get caught up, but it's a confluence of a whole bunch of levels, basically. Volume profile, VWAP, naked point of control, untapped VWAP, all that stuff. Yeah, what I do is I like volume-based levels, time-based levels, and mathematical-based levels. And the ones that have the most amount of overlap, it gets a box like this. All right. JV says, I am concerned about the Pixel Golden Pocket retest from that big fib we talked about on the 4-hour. Okay. Yeah. This pump is from that bounce. Isn't that even more bullish on higher time frame? If it wasn't happening over the weekend, I would say yes. So this is the way that I would look at it, JV. First things first. JV, you've been here with me for almost every day, including last week. You were here Saturday and Sunday, right? I have shorts and I have longs. I don't give a fuck what happens here, my boy. All I have to worry about is this or this. I have to figure out what do I want to do with the short and what do I want to do with the long. And I already know. What am I going to do with the short? The shorts are just hedges. I'm not trying to profit on this bitch. Right? JV, think about all the planning from months and weeks ago. You see how we're placing our chess pieces in play? We're not playing checkers, man. My chess pieces have been thought of and arranged for quite some time. Yeah, so here's what I would say, JV. Even if it's bullish, I think something like this is the lowest probability. This Could it do it? Yeah, but I think it's the lowest probability. I think even like this looks bullish, right? This does look bullish, JV. So I just told you that if this happened during the weekday, I would believe it, right? In my opinion, JV, if this is really bullish, it's going to do that. So I not financial advice, JV, but if I didn't have a short from here, I would still be entertaining a short because on the higher time frame, even if it is bullish, it should have a pullback. Yeah, I would probably still entertain it, but all I'm sitting here thinking about is, dude, please fucking pop through, you know? And then don't forget about this too, my guy. Okay? So JV, bro. You know what I love? You are trying so hard, and have you noticed? Like I've like tried to help you as much as I can. I'm trying to like hold your hand. I really fucking want you to juice, JV. You're one of those fuckers that deserves to juice. Like you're oozing with effort. It kind of frustrates me as much as it does you that you're not juicing on these longs. I'm trying to fucking help you as much as I can. So all my plans got ruined piece by piece. Yeah, no. I know. So look, I'm trying to tell you, my guy. You still want to go long, correct, JV? You still want to go long, is that right, JV? Bro, it's going to be a bullish retest around like the 103. I'm just going to tell you right now, my guy. And what I'll do is I'll scalp long with you that long. Okay? I'll add to these positions. And I really hope it's during the day while I'm streaming, during RTH, not 3 o'clock in the morning while we're both asleep. You with me, JV? I'll take that one with you. Okay? But what I need to see first is I need to kind of see the Sunday CME ETH gap, and I really need to see the RTH CME gap tomorrow and have it play out the proper way. Because JV, what's on Wednesday? What's on Wednesday, brother? CPI. I would prefer that we're in the long, before Wednesday morning, or you might get filled on that. Okay? So, think about the time. Okay? So like ding ding. CPI. Ba-bing. Debate. No debate. Kimba gang, we debate. I don't know. But JV, I think man, we got to get your ass in a long, my guy. Yeah, so yeah, this is gonna start to be interesting if you do start to get a pullback. Obviously, like you just said, this really important during RTA. What if it's like this? You think CPI is going to be bullish? I'm not trying to predict the future. So I will always have a bullish scenario and a bearish scenario. Every day, I will have every day, every week, every month, I'm going to have a bullish scenario and a bearish scenario. Yeah. So what would be a bearish scenario? You get back below this, right? Like this is all a fake. And instead of being able to get out right away, and you're going to probably see something like this. It'll look like this if it's bearish. It'll basically come back in here and stay below that. And that means that this weekend bullshit, it was a fake. So, I mean, obviously anybody can draw lines like that. The trick is going to be to anticipate. What the fuck? And, sorry, this dumbass threw me off. What was I talking about? Oh, yeah. So the trick is going to be to look out for goofy shit like this, you know? And that guy's going to get squeezed. This guy is not watching. This guy probably not watching Kimba Gang. You know what would be really fucked is if this guy closes when we get to the top of the box. Sol, I think we've talked about enough. So I think that's easy. It's just like Bitcoin. It's coming up to resistance, right? So that's the easy one. Yeah, so Sol is easy. We don't really have to worry about this one's a little bit of a goofy motherfucker, right? Yeah, and look, surely enough, it broke the triangle to the downside. Yeah, I'm not surprised one bit. Seen this many, many times. And then that, in turn, brings us down to the golden pocket. We've already drawn this many, many times before. All right, and then we're back below the line. And so really the question becomes dink, 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 and then does it want to sweep? Yeah, so I think it's maybe better to do it a little bit more thoroughly tomorrow. What is this bitch looking like? Let me see. It really shouldn't have lost this. Kind of like how Bitcoin shouldn't have lost a couple of levels above. So, yeah, I would have to see this get back above. Otherwise, it just made a lower low. So, yeah, so now it's looking like it'll probably wait until CME comes back. So, yeah, so you could go back to the altcoin nerd out, okay? But basically altcoin season, and what you need to do is you need to do a little bit more research on, like for us, this is like our 4th altcoin season. You know what I mean? But what you want to do is take a look at data, okay? Take a look at what was going on in the previous altcoin seasons, okay? And I'm gonna try to give you like a 30-second regurgitation, okay? But obviously, like, you know, you need to, it's a lot more complicated than, you know, what I can repeat in 30 seconds. But I don't think altcoin season happens if people are living paycheck to paycheck, okay? What you want is you want cheap money to trickle down to idiots, okay? You want people that are living paycheck to paycheck to have extra money. Okay, that's how you end up with your dumbass friends talking about, oh, I have a little bit of money. Should I buy Bitcoin? It usually is the top, right? Your grandma, your fucking, friends and family that have no business buying crypto, all of a sudden asking you if they think, if you think they should buy some crypto, right? So historically, if you go back, it's when FedNet liquidity goes up, when there's extra money sloshing around in the markets for people to start spending money on stupid shit. Okay? So that happens when rate cuts happen. FOMC is rate cuts. Okay? It's the federal interest rate. So do you understand that the government gives money to the banks and then the banks give money to you and to businesses? So until quantitative easing happens, okay, until the money to the interest rate to borrow money is cheaper, dumbasses won't have money to mark and start pumping altcoins. Okay, we need people that are stupid to get money so they start buying shit like Fartcoin. Okay, do you understand the concept that markets were not created to find fair market value price? They were created for capital reallocation. Okay, the markets exist to move money from people that don't deserve it to people that do deserve it. So what we need is people that don't deserve it to get money in order for us to be able to take it. Does that make sense? So basically, that's what FOMC is going to rate. That's why for the last couple of months, we've been trying to get into longs before FOMC, trying to front run that rate cuts will happen. All right. Do you know how to do FOMC rate cut probability? So are you looking at data? Right now, it's a 97.4% probability that there is no rate cut. There's 2.6% probability that it's going to be a rate cut. So what does that mean right now? Is there going to be money sloshing around? Are people that don't deserve to have it going to have money? Are people going to have extra money to spend it on altcoins? Do you think that if people are living paycheck to paycheck, they're going to spend money on altcoins? Okay, cool. Well, I'll see you guys. Maybe small chance that I'll be back later tonight. But most likely I'm going to go to bed early and I'll wake up early so I can see you guys pre-market for that 15-second alpha TA. That shit's going to be way better because we're going to have the CME data. So stay safe. CME comes back in like 4 hours or whatever, right? Stay safe, Lions. Hey, keep an eye on these levels. All right, Lions. Have a great day. Have a great Sunday. Make sure you guys enjoy. I will see you guys bright and early tomorrow. Kachoya! Can I get a Kachoya? He reaving! Stop staking! He reaving!